Welcome, everybody. Captain Matt, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, here for our live on Sunday. So it looks like we got some folks joining already. Welcome, Ray from LaPorte, Indiana, fellow Midwesterner. Let me know that you guys can hear me, that you can hear me good, and go ahead and fire off any questions if anybody has a question to get us started. I'd be happy to jump right in, but let me know for sure that you can hear me and that the sound is good. I think I tested my sound before. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Brock. Brock was his podcast just dropped last week. I think I finally was able to get that one out. I'm feeling much better. My head's still a little foggy. um, Vikings are Green Bay. I'd have to say Green Bay. Mike, I think you're a Minnesota guy, but sorry about that. And actually, I'm hoping, I was just talking to my wife about this, about maybe making it up to the Minneapolis boat show here in a couple of weekends, and checking that out. So, Georgia, Happy New Year's, Ernest from Georgia. DeLonga. I'm not sure where that is. But welcome, Alan, and welcome, Ray. So thank you guys for joining us. And let's go ahead and jump in with any questions. Let's see if there's any. I don't think I have any topics that were on the top of my head here, but let's see if anything jumps out. Anything that jumps out at me. The best boat show in the Boston area. Welcome, Jorge. Let's see. Boston area boat shows. I don't know. The New England Boat Show, New England Boat Show, New England Boat Show. I don't know if you have multiple ones up there or not. 10 best boat shows in Boston. Yeah, I'm not sure. Boston Boat Show 2022. New England Boat Show, February. It looks like, to me, yeah, I'm gonna say go to all of them. That's I don't know which is the best one. Yeah, I've never been to a boat show up in Boston, so I don't know. But I would say go to the New England Boat Show in February, and then the PCB East. Let's see what that is. Oh, that's a supply chain event. Yeah, for me, I go to any boat show in my area if I can. Even if I'm not in the market to buy, it's a entertaining time. It's fun, and it's something that I don't think there's a necessarily a best one either. I think it kind of depends on what type of boat you're looking at too. Jim Bryan, thank you. I got your email. I just saw it when I was logging in, and I need to read through it, but I appreciate that. Brock, he sent an email on the VHF conversation that we had last week. So um, let's see. Looking forward to the boat show, Minneapolis. Hope to see you soon. Yeah, Mike. If I end up going, I will. I'll just be up there strictly for the boat show. So if you're going to be at the show, that yes, Brock, I think they will. They're the same size as the G3, I think, as the TaylorMade G3s, and they were great. They were. I usually only recommended the TaylorMades, but when they sent me these and I asked for them specifically because too many times I see the fenders are the hard plastic, which I hate. It just you want that soft, mushy rubber that pumps up, and that's what they had. And it's was the same size as the G2 or G3. I want to say it was the G3, but for sure. Ronnie, Happy New Year to you as well. And Mike, if you drop me an email, let's see here. If you drop me an email at captain@boatbuyer's secret weapon, if I ended up making it up there, I'll shoot you a note. Maybe we can grab a beer at the show and say hi. When will we know Yamaha price increase for 2022? Jorge, they should have already released their new price. They usually will update their new pricing in October-ish. It's usually when they come out. But I'll tell you, I got an email. I don't think I've got it on my computer to show you, but I got an email from a friend that was looking at Cobalts, and I got the price increase notice that was sent to all Cobalt dealers. And the notice said that Cobalt was raising prices because of supply chain issues. Let me see if I've got it. It was on my phone. I'll read it to you. Let's see if I can find this. Who sent that to me? Okay, so this was dated October 20th, 2021. And it says beginning December 1st, 2021, a material surcharge of 8% will be added. So Cobalt has a 8% charge that they were adding. And they said, I thought this was great. They said, if this is to the dealers, okay. So they said, for all boats that carry the status of retail sold in our system, we are going to share the increase with you by taking 5% of the price increase, and we're only going to increase it 3% if it's a retail sold boat. So they said, we're raising it 8% for all new boats going forward. If it's already retail sold, then we're going to take that 5% and eat that, and you're only going to have to pass along 3% to your customers and decide if you want to have margin on top of that. So that was from Cobalt in October 20th. That came from a Cobalt dealer, and from Eric Bondi of Malibu, who is the parent company of Cobalt now. So I would assume that Yamaha has already addressed their price increase, with the caveat that they can always adjust their prices as well. My friend bought a boat at the end of August, learned what boats stood for. Ronnie, tell us the story. Is there anything we can learn from your friend's issue, from your friend's experience? Ray Horn, I bought a Bennington. Why exactly did Bennington drop to number 4 in your ratings? So Ray, Bennington's a great boat, but when I inspected the top level Harrises, they were just barely above. The Manitous were above, and Barletta is, in my opinion, the best boat on the market. Now, with that said, is there a huge gap between 1 and 5? No, it's not significant. And you got to make sure you're comparing the same model. So if you're comparing a Q in Bennington, then you've got to compare the Grand Mariner, the Crown, probably. If you're comparing the R, if you're comparing the S, now you need to compare it to the Cruise series for Harris. The Barlettas, Corsa. They just renamed them L, and whatever their entry level, you'd have to adjust. So it's not by much, and but they're definitely in the top. And if you've listened to me recommend brands before, it's why I referenced that bigger video where I go boat by boat or brand by brand when I reviewed them at the boat show. Same reason why I want to go up to Minneapolis this year is see more brands, brands that may not be here in the Carolinas that are more popular in the upper Midwest, so I can inspect more styles of boats and have a more complete review. Um, I say it's not so much pick the brand category, premium, mid-tier, value level, pick that category and then pick the best dealer because there's not a significant difference brand to brand if you're comparing the same level model. It's the dealer that's going to make the biggest impact. And also, Ray, if you go and you look in the comments, there are I've heard it a handful of times. It's not significant. It's not significant, but I've heard some Benningtons having some issues. Now, it certainly could be related to COVID, could be related to the shutdowns, the supply chain, could be related to personnel issues and getting labor and the line shutting down and starting up and not going at full tilt because of COVID and the supply chain and inventory of components not being there. But I've heard Bennington's had some issues. Specifically, if you look in the comments, it was oh shoot, Joel Hagen, I think was his name, that he bought $100,000 Q series, I think, from Bennington and had major issues. So and you can go and read his comment. I asked him to break it out specifically, but he was very disappointed and disappointed in the way they responded to him as well and his dealers. So yeah, Mike, that's unfortunately that is one of the things that I'm not looking forward to if I do make it up there. I was told December by dealers in Tampa that Yamaha would be publishing increase in January. Um, yeah, Jorge, you're 100% right. They're going to be going up. The price will definitely be going up if they haven't released them yet. But I'm really surprised that dealers haven't got the updated pricing already. They usually, well, again, it depends on the supply chain. The pricing is usually for boats. It's usually August, September. The new models come out, and they'll make their price adjustment as soon as they know. But with supply chain issues, maybe they didn't know how much they had to raise them, and they only wanted to do it once. But I don't know. I don't have any inside knowledge there. And but yeah, you are 100% that they're going to go up. And they're the Cobalt note of them going up 8% is not uncommon for other manufacturers as well. Um, Let me see if I can find. Yeah, there we go. Joel Hagen, that was his name. So Ray, if you look at this comment, there we go. Ray's comment. Bought a Bennington in June, and I had been messaging back and forth with Joel in the comments of some other videos and saying, "Hey, you made a great decision. If you pick the right dealer, I think you're going to have a great experience, and congratulations." And so, and I realize this is only one's comment, but I've had it a couple different times in some different places. But so he's a boater that had a 24-foot chaparral, so he understands boats. Um, Bolts coming loose, seats are cheap, the vinyl, the cushioning, but the way the seats are made themselves, and so you can read through the thinnest fiberglass I've ever seen on a boat. Now that may just be, and he bought this boat because of the timing. He bought this boat sight unseen. Um, he never got to see it until it was delivered. Completely disappointed. So, and I responded back to him. I said, "Hey, I hope that the dealer steps up and takes care of you. I hope that Bennington steps up and takes care of you. But Polaris has now owned Bennington since 2016, maybe. And so, are you starting to see the big corporation take over and making some decisions that are more accounting based and less quality customer service based, which is where Bennington made their name and their reputation and why they came on the scene when they did and just took market share up like crazy. One, they put dealers on top of dealers on top of dealers, and they saturated the market. And they were, in our area, we've got within an hour and a half, we've got 4 Bennington dealers. Now they're on different bodies of water, but they're close. So um, it's one of those things where I hope that's not the case, but that's one of the things in my mind that Cobalt, being bought by Malibu, is are you going to start seeing that a publicly traded company now they start making decisions based on spreadsheets and not based on what's best for the customer. So I hope that's not going to be the case there. Just bought our boat. Bennington will not send us final numbers because we're waiting on a double bimini. Yeah, it's the bimini top, those aluminum uprights. I've heard that, and the canvas could be both of them. But yeah, it's if you don't know what their price is going to be, it's kind of a crappy situation. And I thought that we were going to get through this here in the next couple of months, but I'm still hearing stories like this pop up from major manufacturers, obviously Bennington being one of them. Going to the Tampa Boat Show, inflation affected boat loans rate. You're seeing boat loan rates tick up a little bit, but we haven't seen it jump yet. But I want to say they jumped up from the last time I checked it, Jorge, maybe a quarter percent. So on that, I don't have my finger on the pulse of what interest rate markets are doing as well, but my gut tells me that if you can get a rate locked in, do it. If you're ordering a boat, you don't have a whole lot of choice. So, and Jorge, my wife was actually my my wife said, Mike, sorry about this, but my wife said that she did not want to go to Minneapolis with me, but she wanted to go to the Miami show. And I said, well, Miami's not, we can't make that work because of I don't know when it is coming up, but I said we can go to Tampa. Is Tampa a good show, Jorge? Have you been there before? Because we actually talked about going down there as well, because it's after my daughter's basketball season ends, and it is. I think it would be a good show, but I've never been to that show either. Ray, you're very welcome. Local credit union, 3% rate for new boats this summer. Right now it's 6%, 6.5% for used. Wow. Um, now merged with St. Pete, and it's in St. Pete. Okay, cool. So maybe we will try to make it down to that one as well, because that could be a nice weekend trip for us. So that's interesting, Jorge, on the loans. This is credit unions. Let me see. Um, uh, Boat loan rates 50K. Yeah, I don't know of anybody off the top of my head that publishes just basic rates Okay, that was for loans over 50K as well. Boat loans. Okay, so this is Essex. Essex is a pretty big player, part of Bank of the West. They've been a player in boat loans for quite some time. So 50,000 plus 4.29 on a 10-year note. Now, of course, this is going to be perfect credit, perfect debt to income. This is the lowest published rate, of course, for 25 to 50,000, 4 and 0.74, 5.29. So you can go for Jorge, you can go and check out rates like this and just get a sense for where the market's going if you want to kind of track it. That's Essex Credit. I don't know if you're looking pre-owned or if you're looking new. That was for new. They're not too much different, other than you've got a 7-year, because depending on the year, the age of the boat, and the value of the boat, they may only allow 7 years or 10 years, depending on the situation. But and Brock, for you, well, you've already bought your boat, so you don't need to worry about it. Merge with St. Pete, expected to be a bigger show. Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, and that's one of the things is talk. And again, Jorge, if you looked at my what do I call it? First time boat buyer academy, when I talk about getting loans, I say check with the dealer for sure, because they're going to have a great offering, typically, because they have the relationship with the bank. They send them, 50, 100 deals a year, depending on how big the dealership is that you're working with. If they're a bigger conglomerate dealer, MarineMax, OneWater, Marine Sales, something like that, they might even have better rates. But because of the volume, they can usually get some pretty good rates. And then also check with just a direct lender. Your local credit union is worth a check on ordering. You check with them. You never know. But and that way you've got some choices. You've got some choices on if rates start changing, you kind of know what all three of them are. You can make an adjustment and pick out what's best. So down payment for a new boat purchase, yeah, Hux is 100% right. 10% is the minimum. Yeah, 10% is what they're gonna require. You're 100% right. Hux is 100% right. The dealer is 100% right, with one caveat. The one caveat is, if you go with a credit union. If you go with a credit union, sometimes, depending on the credit union, depending on your credit profile, depending on the type of boat, they may say, "Hey, we're lending based on the relationship." And if you go check out my video, let's see here. If you check out my video called Best Boat Loans, I probably should update this video. Boat loan, how to get the best boat loan when shopping. This video or this video, one of these two will tell you what you need to know. I updated this one last year. That'll give you all the details. But a credit union will sometimes allow 0%. The other one is sometimes, I don't think they've done it lately during the pandemic, but Yamaha boats will sometimes offer a 0% program as a special promo for like 2 or 3 months out of the year. I don't think they did it last year, but they've been known to subsidize their lending program that's done through a partnership with Yamaha boats. And I don't know who does it right now, but and they'll do a 0% to try to bring in more first-time boat buyers, but it's very, very rare. It's very rare. Looking at a 212 Yamaha or a Barletta, I know two totally different boats. Which, in your opinion, is a great family boat? 10 10 years, kids are 5 and under. Okay. So Zach, tell me about the type of water that you're going to be working on, and tell me about the um your storage situation. Are you going to trailer the boat? Are you going to leave it in the water? Is there a marina? What's that look like? Because I'll give you my general talking right now. There's not a right or wrong answer. The Yamaha especially the 212, is going to be more sporty, more zippy. It's going to be quicker, not necessarily faster. I don't know how you would power that 22 Barletta. Um, Michael says go with the Yamaha. Michael Hux might have a same type of opinion, but if you listen to the podcast, Michael went from a stern drive. I want to say maybe it was a Chaparral. Went from a stern drive to the jet boat and has loved it. Hux just took delivery of his Yamaha maybe a month ago now. But it's a matter of what does your boating style look like, okay? So zippy, sporty, quick, runabout, hitting the waves. It's gonna be bouncing. The kids are gonna be up in the bow, their hands up in the air. They're gonna be loving it. Mom's gonna be a little bit nervous because it's gonna turn quickly. It's gonna accelerate quickly. As they get older, the kids are gonna really enjoy that if they're a little bit more not wild, if they're a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more daring. It's gonna be great for doing water sports as far as pulling the tube. It's going to have plenty of zip, wakeboarding. It's not going to have a huge wake to it. It's going to be kind of whitewatery, but they're going to wakeboard as they're young. It's going to be nice. It's going to be fun to drive and sporty. Okay. The Barletta is going to be like riding a Cadillac. It's going to be super comfortable. It's not going to be as sporty, depending on what kind of power you put on it. I'm going to say, just take a guess that it's a tri-tune with the 150 to a 200. If that's what you're thinking, tell me. But if you're thinking something different, let me know that. Then it's going to be much more relaxing, much more comfortable. Now, you can do the water sports. I pull my kids on a tube, on a tri-tune all the time. Even I've even pulled them on a 200. So yeah, it's going to have a 200. I'm 6'2", 225, and I'm going to be all slalom ski on that. Now I don't know if you can see my ski in the background there. But I've been skiing since I was a kid, and I can get up no problem behind with the 150 and 5-6 people on the boat. So it's going to have plenty of horsepower to do the water sports, but the feeling is going to be much more relaxing, much more spacious, much more room. I liked taking the pontoons out when I had my young kids, because we could pull the stroller right on the boat, leave them strapped in. There was plenty of space. It was all flat. It was easy for them to walk around. It was a pretty stable platform, unless you took away from the side, then it kind of jostled a little bit. There's plenty of room to sit. It's going to be super smooth and comfortable. And sorry, Hux. So it's two different platforms, and it's a matter, Greg, of what your family is gonna like. Now, Michael suggests ride one if you can. Check out the Jet Boat Owners Group. Find someone near you. That's awesome that you've given people rides, Michael. That is super cool. So it's two different experiences. And not one is right or wrong. It's just a matter of what is your family like? What is the type of water that you're on like? So if you're on a super, super rough body of water and you like more of a comfortable, more relaxation, I'm going to say go the Barletta. If you're a sporty, hey, I want to get out there and I want to go and I want to do some quick turns. I want to quickly accelerate. I think of it, if I'm a motorcycle person, if I enjoy that kind of motorcycle and that speed and that adventure, then the Yamaha Jet Boat is 100%. If my kids are more adventurous and they want to, they're going to zip around, and they're like my youngest, who she wants to be on the bow rider. Her favorite boat to run in is my brother's 32-foot Envision, which has twin V8s, and that boat can't help but run 40 miles an hour. It can stay on plane about 30, but it just, no matter, every time I drive it, it wants to go 40, and it's going to just cut through the chop, and it's going to bounce, and it's fun as hell, and you're going fast. And that's my daughter's favorite boat. Put her on a pontoon and she's yawning. My oldest, she would rather ride on the pontoon with me. That's what I enjoy. So it's a personal preference thing. And if you can, Michael's 100% right. If you can get out on one or the other or both, I think that's going to help your family make the choice. I think it's going to be glaringly obvious which one's right for you if you can get out on a tri-tune with a 150 or 200 and a 21 to 23 foot Yamaha jet boat. I think that will give you the comparison. It's one of the reasons why I recommend boatsetter.com. They were Shea Unity is the vice president over there, and he was in my US Boat Expo. And I recommend people that are in your situation, hey, go and let's see if I can make that bigger. Go in your area and find the boat. So where would you like to go boating? We'll say, I don't know where you are for sure, Charlotte, NC, and put in your time, and it'll, in our area, you got pontoons. There's a Tahoe, a Chaparral. So you've got all these different boating styles that are peer to peer. Some of them will let you take it out. Some of them will have a captain and will let you go out with a captain. I recommend, if you can, find a captain. If you've not driven a boat before, it'll be safer. It'll be more fun. You'll get a better feel for it. But that is, I think, a great option to a great option to get a sense for which one's right, especially right now if you can't get a demo set up with the dealer. So Hux, I don't know if you were on yet or not, but I may be going up to the Minneapolis boat show in a couple of weeks here. So reach out if you're going to be going to the show. There was who was it? Mike is another guy that's up in that area. So reach out and maybe we can catch up, grab a beer or something, because I'll be up there just for that. So okay. Russell says, live in Dallas, looking to buy a tri-tune. Seems to be 4 major dealers in the area. What's the best way to determine the best dealer support after purchase? Okay, so Russell, I know a couple of the dealers in the Dallas area, and you've got some good ones there. Here's my recommendation: is go and talk to the service writer. So go into the service department, talk to the service writer and or the parts person, and if you can, talk to a technician or two. Boat shows are a great time to do that. I don't know if Dallas's boat show is coming up or not, but it's a great time to do that because they're not salespeople. They just think different, and they give, especially if you talk to a technician, they'll give you the real skinny on what's going on. If they think that the dealership does something wrong or they have a brand that doesn't support the dealership and warranty, they will typically tell you, because they're not a salesperson. They don't work on commission, and they'll give you a great perspective on what's it's going to be like after you purchase. So I think that's one of the best things that you can do. In the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, I have in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, and even in the toolkit, it's free with the toolkit download, questions to ask. and I give you a whole bunch of questions that you can ask and get a sense for, hey, is this a dealer that I'm going to be happy with? Buying a Tri-Tune in Dallas, they pick the tier that's right for you. So am I a premium? Am I Barletta, Harris, Manitou, Bennington, Premier Crest? Or am I mid-tier or am I value? And now pick that tier and then go look at all 4 of those dealers and find the one that clicks with you. Ask those questions, talk to the back end people, talk to the owner or the GM if you can, and I think that would be a pretty good way to get a sense for, hey, this is where I'm going to have a good experience. Another thing that you can do is walk the docks and walk the marinas in your local area. Right now, they're probably not as heavily trafficked, but go and find a couple of the brands that the dealer represents and strike up a conversation. Bring a 12-pack of Bud Light, and that will start a conversation with most anybody. Hey, how's your experience been? What do you think about them? That's another great way to do it. A little bit tougher this time of year. Down in Dallas, you might have the opportunity to strike up a few conversations, go to a local restaurant on the water. That's another place that you can strike up a conversation about what's the real experience with somebody that's recently bought a boat, or the boat show. Again, hanging out at the boat show, you see somebody in the booth and you say, hey, like, can I buy you a beer? And I want to ask you, I'm seriously considering buying from this dealership. Let me get your opinion. How's your experience been? And get some real world experiences from people. Understand that people that own a brand are going to be biased to that brand. So you got to watch out for that a little bit. But for cost of $10 beers at the boat show, you can get some pretty good insights. All right. So let's see. We got some questions come in. I'd love to purchase a Barletta, another lake. Okay. So I love Barletta. I think they build a fantastic boat. I like the company. They were just bought by Winnebago. Same thing we talked about with Polaris and Bennington, Malibu, and Cobalt is hopefully they let the essence of their customer service continue on. I don't know anything about Winnebago as far as their service on the RV side, but it's a big public company. The metrics that they look at are all financial, and over time what tends to happen in my experience is it goes from being customer focused, which Barletta is right now, to numbers focused, which makes decisions happen that tend to be bad decisions for us, the end user. With that said, I would go to Harris, Bennington, Crest, Manitou, Premier, and I would look for a dealer that's close and on your lake. I think you'll have a better experience if they're a good dealer. Ask the same questions that I gave to Russell in Dallas. Ask some of those same questions so that you get a sense for, is this dealer going to support me? But I think there's a tremendous advantage to being convenient, to being local. And if you go and you listen to the podcast I did with why is his name escaping me? The podcast I did with the guy down in Dallas, he bought a Harris. He has sent me pictures. Matter of fact, I think his picture is on my website. Mark. Mark Phillips, I think is what it is. But anyway, go listen to that podcast. He bought from a local dealer that was on the lake, and they were super convenient, and it's one of the reasons they chose him. But they were going to charge a service fee to come to his boat because it was outside of a certain area. If you've got a dealer that's 5 minutes away and a dealer that's 45 minutes away, you're probably, if they're a good dealer, going to have a better experience with the dealer that's closer in proximity. So I think that's a big consideration when you're buying brand new. because there is going to be some warranty items. There's just something is going to be not right 100%. It's part of boating. I wish it wasn't, but it is. And I think that as much as I love Barletta, I think you'd be happier choosing a brand that has a good, solid dealer closer to you. Okay. Let's see here. Do you have any thoughts on the new propeller Robalo 250 price? Yes. Okay. So I talked to the Sharrow folks down at IBEX, the International Boat Builders Expo down in Tampa several months ago now. They've got, if you don't know what the prop looks like, it's got little cutouts in it, and it's the numbers that I've seen from everywhere is you've got better fuel economy, you've got better efficiency, you've got better speeds because it's a better design. In essence, there's something about the hydrodynamics of the way that prop works that improvements across the board. With that said, it's a $5,000 propeller. And that's just the single 4-blade prop. I think it's 4-blade, but it seems impressive to me, but you've got to run a lot to get that cost to come up. Now, here's one of the reasons why it's so expensive is because each propeller needs to be custom shaped for each hull and each power source. Okay. So your Robalo 227 with the Yamaha 250, that is going to have to be, they're going to have to build a prop for that boat with that Yamaha. Now, when I talked to them at IBEX, they said, we're getting there where we're going to reach a certain point where we've built all of the prop molds for each of these style of boats. And now we're going to be able to drop our prices down over time because we've now customized them all. So all that R&D cost is built in. We're going to have that priced high. And this was kind of behind the scenes conversation. I don't think this is something that they would ever say, but say outside of a one-on-one conversation, we're going to keep those prices high for the people that they're going to buy the new technology no matter what. And they don't care if it's $1,000 or if it's $5,000. If there's an efficiency there and it's new and it's the latest and greatest, they're going to buy that. It's 10-20% of the market in boating, maybe. Over time, as they get all of these built and now they can raise that price down or lower that price down, it's still going to be more expensive than a regular propeller. It's worth it in my mind. It may be worth it at $5,000 if you run the boat enough, if that efficiency and that extra pickup is worth it to you. For me, it's not. For me, I'm going to run the Yamaha stainless steel prop on it. And I'm going to run that for 2 years and I'm going to be happy. And then maybe when that price comes down enough, and I say, hey, I'm running offshore a bunch and I'm putting, 150, 200 hours on my boat a year, that efficiency and savings in fuel consumption is going to help. I can invest $2-3 grand in the prop and make it make sense versus investing $5,000 in the prop. So that it's sort of a do the math on what that 30% savings is. If you're brand new to boating, I'm going to say hold off, let the market come back down and adjust, and in a year or two, then invest in it. If you're running the crap out of that boat and you're putting a ton of hours on it every year. Why did you list Crest at 5? Looked at other pontoons, didn't have enough fishing seats, bought a Crest. Okay, so Paul, this is I always hesitate to do those ranking videos. But it's something that the YouTube audience enjoys. I did this one specifically. I did it really short without much detail in it for a very specific reason for my channel, to get out there and to get a video that was very clickable, kind of clickbaity. I don't like to do that kind of stuff, but and then reference them back to my big video, which is 45 minutes long, where I go brand by brand. If you haven't seen that video, it is let's see here. The best and worst pontoons, and this video over 100,000 views, and it's 25 minutes long, and I go through all of the brands, and I go through the pictures of the actual boats that I inspected at the Greenville, the Greenville, South Carolina boat show this past year. It's why I'm talking about going to Minneapolis, to the Minneapolis show, to Tampa, to the Tampa show, to Charleston, South Carolina show, to the Charlotte show, to the Greensboro, North Carolina show, as many boat shows as I can go to, so I can actually put my own eyes on this year's models and inspect the boats. So when I make these videos, these ranking videos, where I put Crest and Premier at number 5, is I'm doing it based on actual boats that I've inspected. Now, with that said, the difference between Premier, Crest, and I'll go to Manitou is minimal. It's minimal. They each do something better. They each do something worse. They're using 80% of the same components and material. They're outside of South Bay and Veranda. They're all using marine grade, 7-layer marine grade plywood, lifetime warranty, great material, proven material. They're all using 0.090 thickness of aluminum in the pontoons. And some of them are using a little bit heavier, some are using a little bit less. But the top tier, those 5 are all using essentially the same, except for Barletta, where Barletta is using a heavier gauge structural support beams. Okay. They're using more of those, but everybody else is using high level material, extruded aluminum. They're using the same rotomold seat bases. They're getting their upholstery from one of the 3 main upholstery manufacturers. If you look at the hardware on the Bimini top, most of them are getting the exact same components and putting it on their boat. The stereos are from one of 3 main manufacturers that are virtually the same. So there's very, very little difference in those, except for Barletta, which they're a new player in the game, and they said, we're going to take it up a notch in the quality of construction, the materials used, and the customer service, and they've done just that. So they're, in my mind, still better. But if you heard me telling, who was the guy, that was looking at the Barletta, and it was on another lake. Anyway, Alan M. Berry. The dealer is more important because there's not that much difference between them. A better dealer experience is going to give you a better overall ownership experience than maybe that step up in quality. If fishing is important to you and more fishing seats is better, then you made the right choice. It's why almost every time I give advice, I give a caveat of it depends on your specific situation. And I just don't have the ability to say, all right, I'm going to evaluate all the fishing boats. I'm going to evaluate all the swingbacks. I'm going to evaluate all of the quad loungers. And do something different on each one of them. It's such a segmented marketplace. It's difficult to get to the boat shows and actually make sure that they've all got, that I can see all of the different models and get it in a format that's, easy and entertaining for people to watch. So I do those as best I can this year, because these best and worst videos were pretty popular. I'm going to try to do more of them, more detail, and more breakouts of them, and see how that goes. So be on the lookout for that. But you're going to be happy with a Crest. A Crest builds a good, solid pontoon. If you've got a good dealer, all the better. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Considering Yamaha Helmmaster joystick, it's cool. I've not run the Helmmaster. I have watched a lot of the videos. If you go to Yamaha's channel, um, they they have a lot of great videos where they are doing walkthroughs on the Helmmaster. I have run the Mercruiser version. I've run Axios, their joystick control system, and their Zeus system, which is the pod drive, but same concept. It's amazing. It is. It makes handling the boat child's play. I mean, it really, really does. I don't remember, Jorge, you were down in Tampa. I don't remember what kind of boat you were looking at, but it makes running a boat, learning to run a boat super easy in windy, currenty conditions. It's going to make it simple. With that said, if you practice and you get trained on your boat, running with joysticks is going to be, over time, you're going to have 95% of the same control that you would with a joystick. Okay. It may take you 6 months versus 6 days to get that control with the joystick over with the sticks. But it is amazing technology, and it does make boating easy from almost day one. If that's important to you for the extra thought, the extra cost, it's all done by computer. So it's fly by wire, which the digital throttle and shift is Mercury's. I don't know what Yamaha calls theirs, but it's all sending digital signals back and forth, throttles, steering, and now you put that with the joystick and you go sideways and it's going to go sideways. The technology in my mind is solid. I don't have any concern that the technology isn't going to work right now. I think they've got it dialed in. They've been doing it long enough with the digital throttle and shift. And then it's just a matter of, okay, do I want to invest that money for ease of operation? So let's see. Reliability, Yamaha, total package. Yeah, Michael, I think going back to the pontoon, the Barletta versus the Yamaha jet boat, I think value, what you get for the money, boat, motor, trailer, all packaged up in one. I think Yamaha, there's a reason Yamaha owns the jet boat market. I think the value that they deliver is significant. Okay. All right, Dana, I'm coming back to you here. Should I wait for suppliers to decide? Feel like dealers, manufacturers are screwing. I okay. So, um, agreed. Agreed to a certain extent. Um, buy boat now. Let's see if I get this. Okay. So, I did this video here. Let's see if Greg, I did this video here. Do not buy a boat now. I did that 2 months ago. It's the COVID market update. Agreed. The the price of boats is higher than what it would be if we weren't having supply chain issues, if we weren't having the demand, if we weren't having COVID, and all of the everything that goes into that. Um, I think, and I talk about this in this video, is I think that we're still another 18 months away from the market leveling out, and for a lot of different reasons. I this is a 41-minute video, so I go through a lot of stuff, but essentially, in a nutshell, manufacturers are adding capacity. There are a dozen manufacturers that are adding to their facilities and or have added to their facilities in the last 6 months, building bigger factory, essentially moving factories to larger facilities. Um, Suzuki just moved from the West Coast to Tampa for a bigger facility to start meeting demand. Mercury has opened a new facility on the engine side in the Mercury and Mercruiser. So I think the demand is going to stay for the short term, as long as the economy stays okay, as long as inflation doesn't go too crazy high, as long as the election cycle that comes up, something really, really weird doesn't happen um, leading up to that, as long as we don't have another weird COVID thing going on, as long as we get the supply chain figured out and better, I think 18 months, we're going to be back to a more normalized level of supply and demand. Um, at a certain point, because these manufacturers are adding capacity, they're going to continue to build boats and continue to build boats until they're more supply than demand. They're going to outbuild demand. They do it every time. And this cycle happens in the boating industry every 10 to 15 years. And they always put more inventory in the marketplace, and they push it on the dealers until demand drops, and then they have to drop prices, give rebates to move all that inventory out, and then it sort of levels out. I think that will probably be 2 to 5 years, depending on where the demand goes. So here's the question to ask yourself, Greg, is why are you buying the boat? Where does it fit into your budget financially? Because you're going to have to get over the fact that you're paying more for a boat to get it in 2022 than if you waited to 2025. Okay. I don't know with inflation, which everything, but relatively speaking, the boat's going to be more expensive today than the adjusted price in 2025, 3 years from now. Now, if your kids, I don't know if you have kids, I don't know what your situation is, but if your kids are 15 and 14, well, that 3 years is going to put them in college and on their way out the door, and you're going to miss that time. How much is that worth to you? If you're depending, if there's kids in the picture, especially if you're at retirement age, how much is it worth to you to get on the water and start making those memories and having those experiences today versus waiting 2 to 3 to 4 years to get a better price? Does that price take it out of your budget to get the boat that you want? Well, then wait, save up, invest, do those things, and get ready to put more cash down or whatever. It's a personal decision. I always come back to boating is not a financial investment. Boating is an investment in relationships and memories and relaxation. You work hard for your money. And if you're financially able, if you're financially comfortable to make this investment, I think it's a smart investment to make if you can answer yes to those other questions. That's the short version of what I talked about in the video. But absolutely understand you are paying more right now because the market has pushed it up. I don't think we're going to see a huge drop, but I do think in 3 to 5 years it's going to level out somewhere. I'm not smart enough to know where that's going to be. So that and all my opinion, Greg. I've got no inside knowledge. I do a lot of research. I follow this. I've been in the industry for since 09. I've been around boating since I was 5 years old. So I've seen the ups and downs, and I've seen the inventory. I got in the industry right after the financial crash of 08. So I saw that glut of inventory, demand dropping, and the rebates and what it did. So that's strictly an opinion piece on there, but that's my take on it. Go watch that video, and I'll show you the facts and the reasons why I came to that conclusion. So, Russell, great information. There are a lot of Harrises on the lake I visit. Yeah. So, Russell, go listen to that video. Listen to that video with Mark Phillips. Very, very well may be a valuable conversation for you. You got it, Ray. Michelob Ultra, Bud Lights. That is the way I go. So you got it. You're welcome, Paul. You are welcome. Will there be a boat show? I don't have any idea, Greg, if there will be a boat show in Los Angeles County. Boat show 2022. Los Angeles Boat Show. It looks like we are working on our city. So this is 2021. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good right now. Restrictions are lifted. So, Greg, you might have to travel if you want to go inspect boats, or just take a weekend or two and go visit dealers. I think that's good for some people. I think that's going to be a requirement to get to go check out the dealers and check out the inventory. Hopefully they've got boats for you to check, to inspect. Yeah, so on a 265, Jorge, yeah, I think again, I'll stick by everything that I said about ease of use, cost of investment versus learning the harder way with the sticks and the controls. And you won't have a thruster on a boat like that, but you'll have excellent control with just twins and some training. But it will take some time. It'll take some getting used to, and we're working on our twin engine training program. We don't have that done yet, but you could also, I don't know where you are, Jorge, but you can also just hire a captain, a local captain that can give you um, on the boat training. We did add the Helmmaster on the Robalo, 10 grand, autopilot as well. Yeah, that autopilot is interesting depending on the type of boating that you do, where you're running. If you're running out to your fishing spots, that all comes into play. New Yamaha's electronic steering. Okay, yep. So that's the change, Brock, that allows them to do the joystick. You've got to have that electronic steering to go to the joystick controls. It's one of the things that why Mercury is able to get there sooner is because they made the switch over to the digital steering, the digital steering systems that can allow the computer joystick input. Be interesting to see how long the integrated electronic steering holds up versus the proven hydraulic steering. Yeah, I talked to oh shoot, they were the company that built the aftermarket steering system, that you can use with the joystick control. Who was it? I forget the name. And they were. I was talking about the reliability of it. Now, obviously, they were the reps representing it, but they seemed to think they had a pretty good track record with it. So we'll see. Yeah, and for 10 grand. Um, 3 years, do it now. Yeah, it's like everything in boating. It's a cost benefit analysis. Do I buy a boat today or do I wait 3 years? Well, shit, I'm gonna pay more today, but I get to make the memories right now. Do I get the joystick, the Helmmaster, and autopilot and pay 10 grand and have it easy from day one? Or do I save the 10 grand and learn to run it with the sticks and get that control over time and using some mastery and maybe dinging my boat up a little bit here and there, as I'm learning? Invest in a captain for $1,000 to take me out on my boat and shorten that learning curve. Yeah, it's and everybody gets to answer it different for their thoughts. So Robalo, what outboards? I think oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what Julie's situation was. Greg, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Julie's got the R227 with the 250 Yamaha. Twin 200 versus the 150. the added horsepower. I don't it's hard to say, Jorge. I have not run that boat, so um, I don't know for sure how that boat runs with the 150s. Um, you're gonna be very hard pressed to hear somebody say, "Don't go with the max horsepower." Um, what I will say is, if you're gonna run with heavier loads, you'll probably be happier with the 200s. Um, because on the Yamahas, there's a difference between the 150s and the 200s. Um, when you add that, when you've got a load, I think you would be happier. If you're just running 3, 4 people, for the most part, I don't know that you would necessarily miss it. Um, but I think if you're running heavier loads, I think you'll be glad you got it. Because it won't it'll run better getting up on plane, running and with that extra weight on it. But unfortunately, I have not run that boat myself to be able to give you an answer. Metal shield on pontoons, your thoughts? Yeah, it's so, um, I'm gonna give you my opinion here, because because that's why you're here. Um, I am of the opinion that I'm just gonna let my tunes go, and I'm gonna scrub them up, and they're gonna get a little bit dulled. I'm not gonna take the time, and I've said this on a previous live, about a month or 2 ago. I'm not gonna take the time and the effort to use this material to get the shine on my tunes, to get that bright shine, because here's what I know, is after a month or 2, it's gonna go dull. It doesn't matter what you're putting on it, in leaving the boat in the water, it's gonna be faster, trailering it, putting it on a lift, they're gonna dull out, and it's gonna have that little bit of the white chalkiness to it, and for me, I don't care. It's a utility piece of the boat that is you just it's nearly impossible to keep that shine on it. If you want to put that time and investment, and it's mostly time and elbow grease, because I don't know of any material that it lasts longer than a couple of months. So I don't know, Alan, specifically the what product you're talking, but I haven't seen one or heard of one that makes a significant difference on it. So that's my opinion is it's a pontoon. It's made to be in the water. A third of it to a half of it is underwater, and I'm going to keep my gates shined up, and I'm going to keep my fencing looking great. I'm going to keep my interior looking great and clean and dry and mold and mildew free. But I personally am not concerned with the tubes, other than I'm going to keep the growth off it and I'm going to keep them cleaner. But I'm okay with that kind of oxidation stuff, just because it's the effort and reward is not worth it in my opinion. Radar or XM weather. Boat life forever. It kind of depends on what type of boating you do, where you boat, if you need the radar. Now I'm assuming you're talking like actual radar to see the boats. Are you talking like weather radar? Maybe I'm not the right person to answer this question. Um, because when you say radar, I'm thinking radar to see other boats around, but the XM weather. Let's see here. it looks like the Whole Truth has a couple of threads on this, which you may want to go check out. I'm going to say I'm probably not the right person to answer this question for you. Um, so, boat life, I'm going to opt out of that question and to direct you to this 2017 The Whole Truth thread where you can get some more real life experience. Yamaha 90 or 115 necessary. Again, Mike, it depends on the load. It depends on how many people you're putting on the boat, and what you're going to do with it. A 90 will be fine just to be putting around. I've done a video where I go, let's see here. How fast are pontoon boats? So it's a 10-minute video about, and I go through kind of here's what you can expect with the 90 versus a 115. You're going to pick up 3 to 5 miles an hour. It depends on if I'm doing 6 people, and I'm putting, I'm okay with the 90. Depends on how big your lake is, depends on how much water sports you're doing, how big the people are that you're going to be pulling. What type are they, wakeboarding, or are they trying to slalom ski? Are they tubing? And are they aggressive or not? Um, you're going to get more torque with the 115. You're going to get better out of the hole with the 115. You're going to get a little bit better top end speed with the 115. For me, the price difference is, I don't know, probably 2 grand, maybe 3 grand on that. Maybe not even that much. Let's say 2,500. Um, uh, Man, you'll probably get it out on the resale side having the 115, because there are some people that won't even consider a 90. So if it fits in your budget, I think you would be happier with the 115. If you're just putting 3, 4 people on the boat and you're cruising around and you're not a big speed freak, or not even a speed freak, if you're okay just cruising, nice slow cruises, you're unlikely, you're on a smaller body of water, you're unlikely to get caught in a big dangerous storm where, hey, an extra 5 miles an hour getting back to the home dock could really make a difference. You're probably okay with the 90. But if the budget allows, you're never going to say, oh, I wish I would have got the 90. But you may say, I wish I would have got the 115, if the budget allows. Maintenance. Yeah. Yeah. I think Brock is right. If you're putting, yeah, shark skin. Shark skin is the material that I've heard reports on. I've not used any of them. But again, because I told you my opinion is that they don't tend to last. And when you put stuff like that on over time, it's gonna, I think the shark skin is gonna last for a couple of years. Now you've got to strip that all off and start over again, and it's not worth it in my mind. Again, it's opinion, very much opinion, very much personal preference. There's some people that they just love the fact that their tunes are shiny. They love the fact that they've got a little bit more on their tunes to protect it, and they're willing to pay somebody to do it, or they enjoy doing that kind of stuff. If I never ever touch a buffer in my life, I'm happy. Um, um, so it's a personal preference. So, Brock, I think you should start a YouTube channel, and I think you should share some of your knowledge with folks, um, because you've got a lot of boating experience. You were great on the podcast. You've got a nice, easy way of sharing your information. You should consider it. If you want to reach out and you want some help with how to do it, let me know. But I think you've got some value in your mind that would be helpful to new boaters, especially on the coast. Um, what about the rub protector on the tube? Additionally, the stickers that go on the tube above the water line. Um, Bruce, I'm not sure. Boat Life, I'll put this comment up for you while I'm looking at Bruce's. What about the rub protector on the tube? So, are you talking about the little kind of triangle piece that they're putting on some of them that give you a barrier to the tube? I think that may be what you're talking about. Additionally, the sticker to go on the tube above the waterline. I have not seen that. Um, Water resistant 3M vinyl pontoon decal. I'm Mike, maybe I need to buy you the beer when we get up there since I just made you dip into the wallet a little bit more. Um, yeah, it's Jim, you're right. There's some value to this is going back to joystick control versus non-joystick control. The Helmmaster EX, I think is Yamaha's or the Axis. There's something about having the skill to run it the old-fashioned way if you need it. Um, and it's, um, you heard you'll hear this argument, Jim, I know, has done the captain's course where they talk about, okay, actual chart plotting on a I've got a chart here, you know, charting on an old-fashioned chart with the slide rule and doing that, being able to do your speed over land and making those calculations, adjusting to the magnetic north and the variance there. There's certainly some value there to learning both, but just because you have the joystick doesn't mean you can't learn off the joystick. You can hit the button and control it with the sticks versus running it strictly with the joystick. But yeah, I think you're right. There's value. Yeah, so I do think that depending on your docking situation, let me see if I can pull up a pontoon because I am all right. So if we look at this picture here, well, if you look at this picture here, that that piece is going to be right at the dock level. For me though, I'm going to put my fenders out anytime I'm coming to the dock, and they're going to hit those fenders first. If for whatever reason you don't use the fenders or you can't, um, then yeah, that will save you. If somebody runs into your boat, if you've got an area that maybe you're parking on a side dock and somebody could bump into you, or you like to tie up and have, a flotilla going on, then yeah, I think that piece could be a valuable thing. The wraps on the tube, yeah, from what I've heard, is they hold up remarkably well. Again, I've not wrapped anything. I've not looked at a tube that's been wrapped for 5 years and see how it's held up. I have. I was on Lake Loudon one time with my girls, and we went and talked to this big 38 center console, 40-foot center console that had a wrap on it. The guy had just bought it used, and I was asking him how much it was, how durable it was, how well it held up, and he said, for the most part, it has really been, remarkable how durable it's been. It hasn't gotten all tore up. If you go and you talk to some of the bass boat guys, a lot of them will wrap their boats, if they've got sponsorships or things like that, and they aren't typically putting fenders out. they are utilitarian boats for them, and they are getting up in the sticks in some nasty area, and they tend to hold up reasonably well. So if you like that, Bruce, if you like the looks of it, and you are somebody that says, "Hey, I'm going to spend a couple grand to wrap my tubes because I like the way it looks," um, by all means do it. Just make sure you get somebody that does a good job of it and uses the right material. But for me, it's a small piece. Even powder coating the tubes it's a personal preference, and for me it doesn't matter. But I also, you've seen me on these lives. I'm wearing a t-shirt and sweatshirt, and I'm a practical person, not a stylish person. So, that personal preference though. So, all right, we've been going. Oh, shoot, it's almost 10 o'clock. So, anyway, this has been a good one. My mind was much clearer. I apologize for everybody that was on last week. The COVID brain was still, haven't been out of the house much for 2 weeks now. So, we're off quarantine finally as of tomorrow, I think. And I can finally get back to the gym, do some working out, get in the sauna, be a little bit more active, and hopefully we don't have any more terrible lives like we did last week. Thanks for everybody that's contributed. Jim, thank you so much for the email you sent on the VHF. Brock, thanks for participating and adding value. Mike, drop me an email. Hux, drop me an email, and I'll let you know if I'm going to be at the show. Everybody that asked a question, that participated, thank you guys very much, and I appreciate it. If you haven't, you can check out my programs, the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, where I go into the 9 steps to buying a boat. Maybe it's 7. From the finances of it all, making sure you're making a smart financial choice, choosing the right style of boat, inspecting a new or used boat, questions to ask the dealers, like we talked about. Probably the most valuable piece for everybody is that negotiations piece. Making sure even in today's market, people are saving thousands of dollars with that. If you're buying from a dealer, there's additional negotiation pieces there. And then, of course, the best boat captain on the water, the best pontoon captain on the water, those trainings and everything I do has got 100% money back guarantee. No questions asked. If you ask for it, you get a refund. There's nothing over $100 in my program. So if you ask for a refund, you get it. No questions asked. But for as long as I've been offering these, as many people have been through the programs, they're rock solid. You'll have a great experience. And I give a ton away for free, as you know, with these lives and all the videos, and glad to do it as long as it makes an impact and gets more people on the water happier. One of my traditions is to go to the boat ramp on New Year's and just kind of think. So I went out. There was some people on the lake. It was pretty nice here in the Carolinas, and I helped one couple who had clearly just bought a boat. Helped them get started. Made sure their daughter had her life jacket on. She was about 4 or 5 years old. It helped a couple other people. It's something I enjoy doing because I know how valuable, how important being on the water has been, the relationships, the memories, all of that. So I put a lot into these programs. I know you'll love them. Check them out if you want. And thanks a lot. Worth way more than they cost. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that. Momo, I don't know release. I don't know that brand. I want to say it is a center console or a fishing boat or something. Release boats. Release Boat Works. Oh, those are sport fishers. Yeah, I don't know anything about them, unfortunately, Momo. I've got no sport fishing experience. I've been out on them, but just a handful of times on a charter. buddy of mine ran his dad's a couple times out the Carolina coast that I was out on, but I don't have anything else to add for you, unfortunately. So thank you guys very much. We will be back next week. And hopefully we'll meet some of you guys in person if I make it to Tampa and or Minnesota. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, everybody. Have a great week and Happy New Year.